Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the ODST podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for nearly 500 episodes.
Yeah, you can spend a year and change with us every day. You can listen to our sweet, sweet voices penetrating your ears.
You know, and speaking of, along with that just sentence he just said, we are the number 4 most aged well podcast.
Yeah,
on Spotify and Apple. So we're gonna aim to be aged even better. We want to be aged like a cheddar. So let's get us into top 3, baby.
Apparently, if you search "that aged well," just the phrase "that aged
That
well,"
aged
we're
well.
the number 4 podcast that comes up. Which and when you get to hear our topic, it's gonna be good.
This is definitely an aged well topic.
Yeah. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Jaziri L. Jasir. I hope I'm saying that right, man. But thank you so much for being a dude. And we appreciate
Dude of
you.
the week, Jaziri, thank you.
So our topic for this week, we want to keep it with the fun evergreen stuff. We're going with we were wrong.
We were wrong. The times we were wrong. Because people think I think I'm never wrong. And some people think I'm always wrong. They're wrong. But I have been wrong from time to time.
I spend most of my time wrong.
So yeah, this got inspired because I thought we were done with the Xenoblade Lorecast. Because we had 3, we had 4 because we had a definitive edition for one to fall, to keep in tradition. And no, we're not done with the Xenoblade Lorecast, so that's going to get a new episode. I was wrong about thinking we were done with Xenoblade Lorecast. We're not done.
It's a forever lorecast. It's the reason we don't do any Yoko Taro games, because it just keeps going forever and ever. And this is it's just it's always different, but it's always the same. So yeah, the topic's going to be things we got wrong, games we were wrong about, maybe movies we were wrong about.
This doesn't have to necessarily, because this was like, okay, you might have thought this game was going to be a huge hit. It was a huge flop. You thought it was going to be a huge flop. It was a huge hit. It could be, but it could be just, I thought this game would suck. This game was great. I thought this game was going to be great, and it just sucked. So this is a hindsight is 2020, man.
I'm going to start. It's not a game. I'm not going to start with a game. I'm going to start with something that maybe will please a certain subsection of the YoVideogames dudedom, the fandom. There's several, but I was wrong about the anime Frieren.
Oh, Beyond Journey's End?
I watched it. It is wonderful. It is great. I thought it was going to suck. Look, I'm hard on anime a lot of the time. I like manga.
Oh yeah, this is a running gag with me because I resisted this anime too, and I had a ton of people on my chest saying you would like it. You would.
Oh
like
yeah,
it.
It's wonderful.
And then one time I was over at a friend's house and like sit down and watch 2 episodes. And I'm like, fine.
Yeah. Similarly, like okay, the thing is again, manga I enjoy. For the most part, like most manga I really enjoy, especially compared to American comic books.
See, this was makes you sort of like a bougie enjoyer of it. It's like, I like the manga. I didn't really watch the anime. The manga's so much better.
The thing is I don't read the manga. It's just like, typically speaking, when I find a manga versus like an American comic book, I will almost always choose to read a manga over an American comic book. That's where I'm snooty, because I just like the storytelling style of manga over the serialized weekly.
You're going to get an ending actually in a manga.
Yeah, generally speaking. They also breathe better. The visuals tend to flow better. There's a lot of reasons. I also just like, I'm manga gives you slice of life stuff that comic books don't. American comic books tend to be,
this is financially be ruinous for them or something.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But I resisted Frieren, and actually, I can add to this, because even though I didn't enjoy it as much as Frieren, I see why people like it. Dandadan is another one where I was like, it's gonna suck cocks. It does. It's fun. I do like it. I like the visual style of it too.
Has like everyone's favorite grandma on it or something.
Yeah, hot grandma that looks oddly reminds me of Bayonetta
Mm.
or a character in Bayonetta. I don't know why, but that grandma does. Um but yeah, no, I two anime back to back that I said both times were gonna suck, and then sitting there and Elise and I watched all of them. Frieren especially though. Frieren is actually like legitimately it's great. I binged that and I think I liked every episode of Frieren.
Mm. I
So
saw a few episodes in, and I was like, "This is very good." It is very slice of lifey though, or it's very
it's
like deliberately kind of slow paced.
it's slow
Um,
paced, it breathes a lot, it's slice life, but it's not slow paced in the parts that I care about.
mm.
Like it doesn't waste a whole episode rehashing things that happened last episode.
Right.
It doesn't waste a bunch of time, where a character says the same exposition over and over and over
Yeah,
again. Like that's the shit with anime that has always driven me nuts. And I know it's a profit
yeah.
or
It's
it's a cost saving,
cost saving. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I get that, but it's the thing that drove me nuts. So I expected this to be a lot of it, and I expected long, drawn out battles that,
Here's my question with Free Ren though, because I know it doesn't have the battles or anything like you're saying. My question is, does it ever get soul crushingly depressing like it should?
yes,
Does it?
yes,
Because like it feels like it wasn't sad enough, kind of like as she's sort of realizing the effects of mortality on everyone she was friends with but her. But it doesn't seem like it's hitting hard enough. It's like, oh
oh,
yeah,
you wanna get hit
people
hard?
get old and die.
Yeah,
I don't.
no, okay. How about realizing I think I realized it midway through. Elise didn't realize it until we were close to the end. No, actually, what Freeren's learning is that uh, what's his name? The hero was in love with her, and she was in love with him. And
Oh,
elves don't experience romance or care all that often. It's her slowly realizing, oh wait, this dude not once but twice said he loves her. Sort of like he doesn't outright say it, but like he
mm,
does acts that are like, oh, gives her the ring that it has the thing that's specifically for lovers, the whole flower thing. Like it's her realizing she wasted a chance at love. There you go.
mm.
There's your fucking sadness.
Ah,
Where you're just like, oh,
pretty
ooh,
good. That's
yeah,
pretty good. I was just coming off of because I will again trumpet Violet Evergarden, which is
yeah,
just
that's sad.
made to make you. I mean, it's bittersweet though. It's really it's uplifting, but it's also like, fuck, this is really hard.
Yeah,
That's not really magic based though, because that's like alternate. It's like alternate history, World War One.
right.
And it like it's very sweet and bittersweet, and then there's like a middle point where it's just her actually like having flashbacks to her last mission, where you see like how violently she murdered people and how violently both her arms got blown off, robocopped off, and then her trying desperately to save her commander, with her teeth, and passing out from like blood loss and shit, and then she has this whole thing where she has a mental breakdown of survivor's guilt. Why
Yeah,
was she
nothing
the
like
only
that in
one?
Frieren.
I'm like, damn it.
Nothing quite that intense in Frieren. But there's other animes that I have been wrong about, and manga especially that I've been wrong about. But Frieren is the most recent one that Andrew's got to eat crow over anime. I did have like a patron only thing for a while where it's just Andrew watches anime, and I gave up on it not because people were recommending bad anime. I just like I don't have a Crunchyroll subscription, and so it was getting kind of hard to find anime that
Yeah,
was being.
because sometimes they put stuff up there for free with ads, and sometimes they just
Sometimes
don't.
I don't, yeah. Um, but now, I'm getting manga recommended to me, um, to get up to snuff on current day manga.
I need to do a
Um,
full read through of Nausicaa. I have it.
yeah. But I there's I'm trying I'm trying to think of like a thing that I was so wrong. Like I was convinced. I can't tell you. I mean, you've been listening to it for years, probably at this point. But I say things with such confidence. This is how I was raised. I was so convinced that Frieren was going to be bullshit. Where I was like, with anime, I'll give it 3 episodes because that's
Yeah,
90 minutes. You know, if it can get me in 3 episodes, and that's pretty generous, generally speaking. But 1 episode in, I was just kind of like, oh. And then, it was like a Saturday when I started that. So by Saturday night, I had watched like half the series. I was like, oh, okay, I like this.
nice.
Yeah. Um, any anime for you? Was it you? Do you want to be on the anime topic or?
I very briefly when we were just discovering anime, because the box arts were sort of like, they were very sketchy, like record label, and they had like no imagery on it. So I
Yeah.
remember when Max handed me like a VHS or a D no, maybe it was a DVD of like Cowboy Bebop, and I was like, "What's this? No, 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 trust me, you'll love this." I was looking, I'm like, it doesn't really give much. I mean, it's sci-fi, sure, but like it doesn't like because it's very artsy. Like if you remember the original covers, where they're just like white and then they have like a black stripe and like a color splash, like a sketch of just like a character's outline or face. And the back has no actual screenshots of the anime. So I'm like, what? Okay. I was kind of like, oh, well, okay, whatever. And then there was like, I was immediately hooked. But I remember like just seeing like the box art didn't really sell that's more just like the box art not selling it as far as that goes with anime. I'm trying to think of like an anime where I was like, I mean, there's definitely been animes I've watched. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, there's been plenty of animes I didn't like, but
Nadia showed me My Hero Academia, and I had no idea I would like that. Like, because she liked it, and I'm,
it's fun.
you know me, I'm not a shonen anime, but that was actually really fun. The pacing was like really good. Like they like. Yeah, there's a little bit, but like it really because so many of them. Because I'm trying to go through One Piece, and it's rough. But I'm in a deal play. With someone with Muffin to play. Muffin plays Xenoblade. I'll watch One Piece, and One Piece is hard because early One Piece is really poorly animated, really poorly paced. Um,
Yeah. Well, okay.
even by One Piece aficionados, like even they'll tell you the pacing and animation is terrible in the first season, and I'm just like, oh man, this is hard to do. But I call it Macadamia Nut as an anime. That was surprising. That was surprisingly fun. It was fun and engaging in a way I did not expect an anime of that genre style to be. So that was actually a good. A big surprise. It's not necessarily anime, and I'll tell you this used to be the power of YouTube when people would upload chunks of episodes like 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5.
Yeah.
And I remember being bored out of my mind one night and being way too young and just saying, F it, I'll watch it. And I remember watching a little bit of the first episode of Avatar, The Last Airbender. That was a good investment because I think by the end of that week, I bought the box set at Best Buy for season one. So
Really?
I was just kind of like, oh, I was hooked immediately, and it was fantastic. So I remember thinking like, no, oh, how to draw anime, great. Little did I know that it was actually being storyboarded as well as animated in Korea, just written in America. So I was like, and then of course, it being what it was really, was really, really good. So that was definitely one of those. It's not an anime, but it is animated. It is was fully animated in Korea. Um, but it is
I will
really,
make a
really good.
recommendation to you. Uh because I saw this I don't know how many years ago, but it's an anime short film. But if I remember correctly, the artists it's got like an insane group, like the director and the artists involved are all big name,
Hmm.
amazing. It like it's got I think the director is the guy who did Blue Seed, and like the artists are from Cowboy Bebop, and it's a sci-fi horror, but it's called Magnetic Rose.
Mm.
Um, it's only like 45 minutes long, but it tells like a complete horror story of these and it's got obvious influence from Cowboy Bebop, from Alien.
Mm.
Um, you just gotta check it. It's hard for me to summarize, really, but it like the art style. What I realized is like 90s, 80s, 90s anime art style, like you know, sort of gritty, I don't know how to describe, it may be more contrasty to a lot of the images. Your Gundam Wings, your uh again, your Blue Seeds, your Cowboy Bebops, like they just had like a different feel to them than modern
Yeah.
anime styles.
I blame a
Um,
lot of that on digital ink.
yeah, that might be what it is. I'm not educated enough on animation, especially hand drawn animation, to like verbalize exactly what it is, the difference. But I like the art style of like the old school Ninja Scrolls and stuff compared to modern anime. I just like it a lot. Not to say that modern anime is bad, but um, Magnetic Rose, if you can find it. I feel like I saw it once on Showtime,
Mm,
and it is again, it's like 45-ish minutes long. I don't
huh, interesting.
but yeah, it's I didn't expect it to be so good. It's good.
Hmm.
I don't know that I would call it like world changing, but it's like it is
Right. Yeah.
good.
Not everything has to be.
Like it's like a sci-fi world that's lived in. I like
Yeah.
lived in tech for sci-fi.
Oh
The
yeah,
ultra
definitely.
clean tech.
Speaking of anime, I'm sorry you don't live in Hollywood or near Hollywood anymore because starting tomorrow we're getting a 4K remaster of Mononoke on IMAX.
It'll come to the Magic City. Don't worry.
But those IMAXs, we got a couple of true IMAXs around here, so
Can I?
not
All right.
not Limaxes, but
Now I'm gonna say something that could be controversial for film nerds everywhere, but I don't give a fuck about IMAX. I don't care about
bro,
IMAX.
if you Boy and the Heron in IMAX was like amazing. It was like in that effing movie.
There's plenty of movies that are great in IMAX. Nolan shoots specifically for IMAX. His movies are great in IMAX. I'm not saying that IMAX, but I don't give a shit about it. I don't care. Like IMAX doesn't sell me a
Honestly,
goddamn thing.
it needs to be an animated film. I have discovered this. This is like
Oppenheimer in IMAX was pretty pretty
this.
good.
I saw Oppenheimer in IMAX and it was good, but like I think something about
Interstellar in IMAX was good.
I think colors. I think
Mm.
your color theory and your color grade and your color everything and how you use colors in a film can a good IMAX print of because they made an IMAX print for Boy and the Heron, and there was something strangely magical about that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way the colors of an animated film and movement really
I
add to an immersion that you don't. And the thing is like I feel like I've never watched James Cameron's Avatar outside of the theater. And I had an
Yeah,
amazing because we went to the world famous Burbank IMAX for the first movie, and that was like one of the best IMAX
Christopher Nolan's favorite theater.
right, like one of the best IMAX experiences I've ever had, and 3D experiences. And I'm like, you know what, that movie's not a movie; it's a ride, and that's why it works because it's basically an animated film
Well,
on an IMAX.
that's how I was fooled into thinking Prometheus is a better movie than it is. See, I was
Wow.
wrong about Prometheus. I thought it was really good the first time I saw it.
I think we all
Saw it
thought
in,
and hoped it was going to be better than it was.
and then I watched it again, and I was like, "Wait a second." All of us were fooled.
Because I think the thing
Um,
is like everyone who's ever watched Avatar outside of a big giant theater experience is always just kind of like, eh.
yeah,
It's
it's a
like,
shrug.
eh.
Um,
Eh.
yeah, it's
Like,
that's
I think
why
I'm like, you know what? I think this movie's just a ride. It's not a movie.
it's the only reason that Jeff Keighley doesn't invite me to all of his shows is that he knows that I don't care about IMAX.
Oh man,
IMAX is,
insulting the family.
it's what he if it wasn't for that, Keeley
Mhm.
has told me multiple times, he's called me, he said, Andrew, if you weren't such a piece of shit about IMAX specifically, I would invite you to all my shows. We would be the best buds. I'd show you the diamonds. And I don't know what that means exactly, but I have a feeling it's sexual. Um, yeah, I like IMAX. It's fine. I don't care about it though.
Let me start this off with a big one for me for gaming,
For games,
especially.
do it.
I have a big one I want in a huge one to end on, but years ago, thousands of years ago, before the dawn of man as we now know him, um, a friend showed me a trailer for a video game coming out for Macintosh that he was really excited about, and it was called Halo. And it looked really cool. I actually was really, I'm like, this looks really cool. I'm actually really excited by it. That studio then got bought by Microsoft, and Halo was no longer a Macintosh game. I don't know if people even remember this, that it was going to be a Mac exclusive at one point.
And it was originally called Marathon. Like
No, Marathon exists.
Marathon
for
exists, but it was
Macintosh.
It was going like Halo was going to be a continuation of the
Yeah,
Marathon
yeah,
series.
it was, yes, and it was going to be on Macintosh. So, anyway, so he showed me this really cool looking game called Halo, and then at E3 2001, I played Halo, no longer on a Macintosh exclusive, now an Xbox exclusive, and it was a pile of shit. It has a very notorious bad E3 2001 demo. And I just remember thinking, like, good luck. I was just like, whatever, this game sucks now. Like, where was all the cool wildlife? Why is why does nothing look as good as it did? Whatever. And I blew it off completely. I'm like, this game was not good at E3. They actually probably through a lot of crunch got that game into the state it was in when it launched on the Xbox in November. But it was probably a rough 8 months or so between E3 and that November launch, because I was wrong about Halo 1, because Halo 1's a very good game.
It is.
I don't like it as much as some people love it. A lot of that just kind of boils down to, as good as it is, it felt a little regressive to me in light of Perfect Dark still having way more features and modes and options and things you could do in a first person shooter. But Halo was clear, it was clean, you could see what you were doing, and it ran at a smoother frame rate. So
Right.
that's why Halo is still very good, because it perfected the twin stick shooter. Anyways, but what I played at E3 2001 was a legitimately crappy game.
I
I feel like I'm excusing myself a little bit. To my, to be fair, or to excuse myself, it had a notoriously bad E3 2001 demo. But I was wrong. That game saved that system. That game is the reason Microsoft is still in gaming, because if Halo didn't take off, Xbox would have never taken off, and Microsoft would never have stuck around in the console gaming business as long as they did, to get to other points of other driving factors for Xbox than Halo. Because Halo was, for pretty much the entirety of the first Xbox, Halo was like the sole driving factor for that system.
And Halo 2 is the reason that Xbox became like the dorm room console for a while.
Yeah, like that online and Halo 3s, and just
I can top that with things that we were horrendously terribly wrong about, with a favorite game, with a game that I expected to suck. So in 2006, Gears of War 1 came out, and me and all my friends in high school were playing the hell out of it. Loads, just for like a year straight, we played so much of it. And my very good friend DJ was tired of it. He was like, I'm gonna play this new game coming out. It looks so good. It's called Call of Duty 4. And I said it looks boring by comparison. It's not head-to-head gameplay. It just looks like a boring old shooter. Same thing Call of Duty's always been.
But it's modern warfare.
Yeah. Same thing it's always been. I say, he says, you got to buy it. I'm calling in the friend card. Now, back at this time, we had this thing where if he was going to get a game, or if I was going to get a game, but it wasn't going to be as fun without somebody coming with you. This is before we knew everybody was going to get it. We got it the very first day, and we played it, and I played it with him. And the first day I played it, I was all like, yeah, I'm right. This is fine. Anyway, like 3 weeks later, I had never touched Gears again. We were playing hours of Call of Duty every night, and it became, for 2 years straight, I think it became like my favorite game, period. But I had watched videos, and including the first time I played it, I was like, it's fine. It's not good. It's one of the best shooters
Andrew, you were never offline.
I know.
There was a group of like 10 of us, and if no one else was on, at least Funk Machine
Yeah.
was online.
Hell yeah, man.
At almost any given moment. There was like there was like maybe like 2 or 3 instances I can remember where you weren't online when I was.
I mean, no defense.
And it was that game. Wasn't
Well,
any other game. It was that game. Funk Machine is playing Call of Duty 4.
I was the right age. I didn't have a lot going on. I had long hair. I had hair down to my shoulders, you know. Hard to believe now. But I also had no muscles. It's a very skinny young man. You know,
I mean, you were always on, and we could always tell when your brother joined
yeah,
because you
very
thought
angry.
because someone you thought the IRA was like invading your house or something.
What?
The way he would scream and swear, you'd swear like there was going to be a revolution starting,
Yeah, he still to this day gets really angry.
like immediately.
Yeah, like the moment anything goes wrong, he gets so angry. And it's like he doesn't know a mute button exists. You know, it's like I'll spill some tea. Yeah. You want to know who else got real angry at Call of Duty 4 and at fighting games and also Max. Ooh, he could
He's
scream.
stewed.
He'd scream. He'd scream.
That's true.
But
There were times,
he'd mute, so you'd never hear him yelling and cussing and stuff.
no, actually, at one time I went over with
Yeah, I got to his place early and I heard
it
him
was
yelling outside.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. It was either Tekken 6 or Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and he's playing it online. And I've brought this up with him on stream. I'm not revealing a general secret or anything, but like
No, I don't think
over there, and he was like playing Tekken 6 or Tag 2, one of the two online, and he was just livid. He was just like screaming, like he was just like mad because the online was so garbage for those games.
Well,
And
when he was going for the first nuke, one of his first big videos on YouTube when he was going for the first nuke, I was in a bunch of those games. And when I tell you that that man was fueled purely by spite by the time he got it. And what's funny is when he got it one time, he then got it a bunch of times after that without even trying.
yeah.
But getting it that first time, he's fueled by rage. It was amazing. And I think the first time he got it was on Favela. Or not Favela. No, was it Favela? Well, I can't remember exactly what was the first map he got the nuke, but
Or Downpour, maybe, or not Downpour. I don't remember.
yeah, I don't remember exactly where it was, but I might even be mixing up which levels are in 1 and 2 now. Modern Warfare 1 and 2 sort of has melded in my brain over the last 15 years, where like sometimes I'll be like, yeah, and this happened, and then be like, yeah, that was in 2, that wasn't in 1. And I was like, I'm officially that age now. But yeah, I thought that was gonna suck. Another of my longtime favorite games that I thought was going to suck was Far Cry. Far Cry Instincts specifically. I can't remember who it was that wanted me to play that with them. But they got me a copy from Game World, used, and was all like, "You'll love this game. It's just a great game." And I looked at the box art and I looked at the front, and it's got him like half mutated, and he's got a P90, and I was like, "This is the most generic game." Like this is some bargain bin.
Yeah.
Loved that game. Love it, especially with like the character levels and stuff. Oh, there was like a summer there where I played that every day. I loved that
On
game.
the original Xbox, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that game actually is where my my burgeoning love of the original potato controller on the original Xbox is from.
Oh god.
Because you boys got some long fingers.
The Duke? Oh my god.
Yeah, I love the Duke.
Oh
I
my
loved
god.
it.
You know they made a modern day version of it.
Well,
for,
I'm
like,
never
modern
going back
consoles.
because the Xbox 360 controller perfected. But the Duke at the time, I loved it. Loved it. And the white and black buttons. that spot where you could like switch grenade. Oh, ooh, I did. I liked it a lot. I was wrong about the Xbox. We didn't get an Xbox, the original Xbox console, for the longest time because I was convinced it was just like a hunk of crap. I was a PS2 elitist for the longest time. My brother was a Nintendog, as I like to call him. And we ended up getting an Xbox on sale. I forget how we got it, but we ended up getting one, and ended up really loving a bunch of games on there. Really, mostly because that's when I started playing games online. Was when we got an Xbox. I had played like SOCOM a little bit. Still waiting for that successor to SOCOM, Gray Zone. Huh? You gonna be the successor, Gray Zone Warfare? You gonna finally get there?
Well, I mean,
Wait,
that's like an open world version of it. I'm gonna say like you could have played Last of Us multiplayer. That was kind of like SOCOM-y, and then they decided to cancel the part 2.
I didn't play the original Last of Us until the remastered version years later. Because I didn't there
If you have the PS4 version of remastered, it still has multiplayer. It's
Yeah, but by that
very
time
simple.
I wasn't playing with anybody online. So there was like that 5-year period no, I guess it was like 4-year period where I was going to school and working 2 jobs.
Mm.
Where I didn't play any online games basically. It's why when I started streaming originally, I was like, all right, I got to hit the best games of the last
Yeah.
several years. Um, it was like the running theme of like, I don't play anything new because I'm still learning about what came out 3 years ago.
Well, there was a report that came out today, and PC is one of the fastest growing markets. Here's the crazy thing: 92% of people playing PC games right now are playing games that are over 2 years old.
Yeah, not surprising.
92% of people aren't playing anything within the last couple of years,
That's wild.
and 67 are playing games over 6 years old.
Well, what was it? What was that
Over
thing?
2/3.
The UK, like, it's the top 10% of income earners are accounting for 90% of game sales currently, like
Something like
AAA,
that. Yeah.
something like that. And it's like, well, yeah, like 2-year-old games probably don't cost $70 and are every
Yeah,
bit
man.
as fun
You,
and good
you,
looking.
you should be worried, man. If it that sounds kind of dire.
The industry no, I don't want to go down that path. We're having a fun episode where we're talking about where we were wrong.
We were wrong.
We're not talking about the bleakness of today.
We
We're
were
talking
wrong.
about the beauty of yesterday.
Um, boy, it must suck to be a Halo fan today. Anyways,
I was wrong about ODST. That's a Halo that I was wrong about. And it's now
yeah,
my favorite Halo game that I've played.
dang.
Um, I loved ODST. I thought it was going to suck. I was like, you're not playing as Spartans. It's going to suck. And then I realized, wait a second, some of the most interesting aspects of that universe and the game is the fact that like normie dudes are really underpowered against these aliens. So let's play as the
Yeah.
troopers. I love that. It was also the first Halo game that everyone had a personality. Like the team has a
Mhm.
personality. Granted, it's like Alan too. It's like the cast of Firefly is is the team.
Well, there's one I don't think a lot of people. This is just a minor one. I don't spend too much time on it, but there's a tiny studio out there, Tracheon or whatever. I forget what they're called. Um, and they did this really terrible Rambo light gun game without a light gun on like the PS3 or PS4 for Rambo, and it was god awful. One of like just absolutely one of the worst. And then the next game they did after Rambo was Terminator Resistance. And for some reason, that game turned out exceptionally well, like really good. It's basically Fallout. It is a light version of Fallout in the T1 future, the
Hell yeah.
future as portrayed in Terminator 1, the original movie. But it plays like a
The
Fallout
only
game.
future that we wanted to see and they never gave us.
Right. So this game is just that, but it plays like a basically kind of like a weird mix between COD and Fallout.
Hmm.
It's like COD with survival elements, and it's way too good for what it is. Goes on sale a lot. Like, it looks good, it plays well. Like,
I'm not sure I've played this, and now I'm
Terminator Resistance is the name. Goes on sale, often enough. And then they recently they followed Terminator Resistance up with RoboCop Rogue City, which
which is
turned out
really fun.
which
Yeah,
turned out really well and is getting a
yeah.
DLC campaign this summer, or like an expansion pack, a standalone expansion pack campaign this summer.
Well, it's a good argument for giving people time to develop.
Yeah, so like it's just like this really nothing burger of a studio got like some really old ass 80s property and just made a really junky video game with it. And then they immediately hopped on, let's get another old ass 80s franchise and make another license. Oh, it's great. And then let's do it again. Really, like, let's do a great RoboCop game. Like, what's going on here?
They got a shtick. Love the shtick.
So everyone was initially wrong about them, but like they've cranked out easily the best piece of Terminator media since 2, and RoboCop media since 2. Because both games deliberately ignore Terminator 3 and RoboCop 3 onwards.
Probably smart.
No-
Terminator 3 was the one where John Connor goes to the 60s bunker. That's where
yeah.
Terminator. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the lady that did that played the Terminator in that movie. But I saw like one of those like YouTube shorts of Arnold at the time doing press talking about how intimidating she is. And it was just like this really oddly charming thing that made me want to watch the movie again.
Huh.
Where he's like, yeah, she's really killer. And like, I mean, he's obviously like fluffing up the movie because he's got to.
Yeah,
That's his job.
because she's not really intimidating at
Um,
all. She's definitely more infiltration um than intimidation. Because like
See, I
Robert
don't
Patrick
remember
looks
any.
really intimidating no matter what.
Yeah,
Like, if
well,
you're a
he's
kid,
got
and
asshole
that
face.
yeah, he just does. And him in that cop uniform is being, have you seen this boy? I'm like, yeah, anyone would be like, get away from me, man.
Yeah. Uh, uh, Robert Patrick is like he's a really nice dude. Apparently,
He's
he's
a-
just like wonderful to work with, and he's enthusiastic, and he really gives you on a project. Like he goes all out. He doesn't phone anything in, and he never has, kind of thing, right?
it's funny. He plays such a piece of shit and
Right.
Peacekeeper.
Well, there was this interview where someone was just kind of like, "Don't you feel like you get typecast?" And you're just like, "I have an asshole's face." I was like, what? He was like, he was like, I'm not. It's the same with why am I blanking on his name? Uh, Kevin. He plays villains all the time. He always plays villains. Uh, but I'm blanking on his name. But same thing is he gets typecasted as a villain because he's like, I can really make my face look like an asshole. And he's like, but normally, like when you talk to me outside of set or outside of stuff, he's like, I don't do it. I do this certain smile where I have like no lip up top and it makes me look like a jerk. Um, I'm gonna find out this guy's name. And it's where no. Oh, he's not top build cast in this movie.
Dang.
I don't know why. Kevin Durand.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're gonna wait. You mean like Proximus Caesar, Kevin Durant?
Yeah. Kevin Durand. He gets cast as bad guys pretty much all the time. And he was like, yeah, it's because I can make my face look like an asshole all the time. And it's like, and he's apparently just another really wonderful, nice guy.
Yeah, I read some funny thing with him where he was like, "Yeah, I came up with his reasoning for why his character sounded like it did." And he says, and then I'll sometimes get stuck in it. And my wife like wants to kill me because I'll be talking to her at home like I'm Proximus Caesar.
Well, he did like a Good Morning UK thing where he was like, he acts like Proximus on the show. They were like, "How easy is it for you to get into character?" And he just starts doing the rest of the show, walking around like Proximus and talking like Proximus and like being intimidating like Proximus. And people were just like, "Okay, you can stop now." And he was like, "I just slip into it." Just like, okay, just seems like a good time.
Do you remember the actor who basically said method acting is BS completely? And he
Yeah.
was like a really who was it? It was like a really renowned, well-known actor, and
It's the guy from Lawrence of Arabia.
Peter O'Toole.
Yeah. Why don't you try acting?
Why don't you try?
Um,
It wasn't Alec Guinness, I don't think.
It's Peter O'Toole.
It was Peter O'Toole. Like, okay, Ratatouille villain for all the younglings. But even
Yeah.
that movie's probably old. But he was the one who just said method acting is BS. Just like, just try and like. He was like, no, just act. it was like, oh, I need to like breathe and become this character. No.
Uh, there's a bunch of people that famously hate method acting. I mean, Willem Dafoe, for instance. People were all like, "Well, what's your secret to acting?" He was like, "I try to act as bad as I can." He's like, "It makes me very expressive. I overact. I do all this." Just like, but all my best stuff is me trying to do it the worst I possibly can. And he's like, "It gets me out of my skin."
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of specifically English actors and like traditionally trained actors don't like method. But a lot of, I mean, not to go down a weird side topic, method or the method is terribly misunderstood
Hmm.
anyway. Like a lot of the people that famously say their method, or they lived in their own shit for a week to feel like they were a tank driver.
It's really
That's
just
not
about
the method. Like,
it's just about how sincere you can be. But anyways, I don't know. Is there any other like game you were wrong about, or sales, or quality, or enjoyment, that you can even think of?
um, I mean, I can't think. I had one before we went down that method acting thing, but I can't think of necessarily sales because I don't think we've
Like
ever
a
made a
game, like a game where you're like, oh, no one's gonna care about this game, and it blows up. You're like, oh, okay, I guess it blew up.
well. No, because I don't think I tend to make predictions based on
No.
like in one case where I was delightfully surprised is like Astrobot. When we first saw Astrobot being announced, we were both like, "Oh, that looks really fun," and I
Yeah.
thought it's going to be moderately successful, and that ended up coming out and doing, you know, delightfully well. Better than maybe not better than anyone expected. I expected it to
I
sell well, but I didn't expect it
yeah.
to like win
Yeah,
Game of the Year.
I don't think anyone thought it was going to be that impactful or anything like that. So.
And it's not like it necessarily drastically changed gaming culture for whatever, but it
No,
is nice that a small game did so well.
yeah,
Um,
there's a couple things that I thought the time in the sun had kind of passed. The sun had set on some things. Tekken's a big one because Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag 2 did, like, by their own admission, did not sell as well as they wanted. Like, they were disappointed with the sales. And then Tekken 7 became their best-selling Tekken ever over time. So I truly thought, because of that and Street Fighter Cross Tekken, that like Tekken was done. People just were kind of over Tekken. Tekken had its day and it had its heyday, and it's over now. Like, it's just But I was wrong. Tekken came back, and that was a nice Cinderella story.
Tekken is one of the fighting games that I mean it is popular, but it's one of the fighting games that like compared to Street Fighter, like it's nowhere near as flashy in my opinion. Like, and this is from an
Well, I
outside
mean,
perspective, but it's like
that's what they really tried to fix, or not fix, but change with 8. And some Tekken fans are really old school Tekken fans are really not happy about that,
really
because they're going very aggressive, flashy, crazy, very hyper with 8. And like a lot of like old school Tekken people do not like that.
because I have no way of knowing if this is true, so you'll have to correct me. But like one of the comments that I can commonly remember, especially back in the Tilt days, is that Tekken is slower than Street Fighter or Marvel. Like it
Well, it's
is more
also
technical.
because
I don't know if that's
in
true.
a sense, yes, but also was a game that was like very favored toward defense mechanics.
Hmm.
Like being defensive, not attacking, being spacious, like being very, very careful with your spacing. So
Good for the
yeah,
turtles.
yes, very much a turtle
Yeah.
game. So in that's what I from the first Harada blog on 8, and it's like this sounds like he wants to fix that, fix it, address it. And it's definitely had pushback from longtime Tekken vets because they're like, it's not how we've played Tekken for the whole franchise. Suddenly now we need to be hyper aggressive and flashy. But I don't know. Do you have like a last one that you can think of? 'Cause I have a big one.
You have a big one. All right. Very quickly, I'm going to say that I was too optimistic about Gladiator 2.
Probably.
Genuinely. I
I
genuinely
mean,
was. I thought they were going to pull it together.
look,
The
man.
cast
Like,
looked right where I was like, well, the cast is pretty good. It was like
when's the last time Ridley Scott had an absolute fucking
banger.
undeniable
Yeah,
classic?
it's been a
Green Knight?
while.
No, not Green Knight. The other Knight movie he made.
Kingdom of Heaven.
No, the one he whined that kids don't go to
Oh, The
see.
Last Duel
Yeah.
is legitimately a pretty good movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Solid. Yeah, that would be okay. I could live with that. I was gonna say if you're gonna say Kingdom of Heaven is a banger. The director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven is
Heaven, yes,
ooh,
specifically. But I
so
was
good.
like, man, when's the last Ridley Scott kind of all over the place lately?
Well, he's just trying to earn his money. I don't know. Look. I think anybody that tries to pretend they don't respect Ridley Scott is, an idiot. Ridley Scott is a talent. Uh, I think that he has never necessarily cared about the script being finished before starting filming.
Hmm.
And in the past, he could pull it together. I don't think it's remained true that he
Mm.
can necessarily pull it together.
I mean, if anything, in his old age, when he reshot the entirety of the scenes he had to reshoot and recast for all the money in the world with Christopher Plummer, I think instead of Kevin Spacey or whatever, that
Yeah.
was just kind of like, I don't know how you did that in 2 months, but he did it.
I mean, he's incredible. One, he does his own storyboards, but two, he is incredibly economical in how he shoots. I mean, he shoots fast. Like genuinely, again, if especially if it's someone who doesn't do it or has never done it, you're just a critic and they're all like, yeah, Ridley Scott's got no talent. They're an idiot. Ridley Scott is like he's good at what he does. I
Mhm.
would mostly say that like his scripts aren't coming together the way they use. When he did Gladiator 1, the script wasn't done. They were winging it for 99% of the movie.
Russell Crowe shat on the writer too
Yeah,
of that movie.
Russell Crowe will tell you that the reason that the one guy dying, I'm blanking on his name, but the one guy dying from his alcoholism in the end didn't have to reshoot any of that is they just recut things that he was riffing to
Hmm.
work because they just made stuff up day of. Like they really did. The whole thing with the family figurines that Russell Crowe is praying to, he made it up day of. That was just a prop that happened to be there because they shot in order. Um,
Mm.
Normally they never do this, but because they didn't really have a script, they were kind of just like they knew what scenes they wanted. Really, the only script they had locked was that first Roman battle. They'd shot through all the script
Mhm.
in the first 2 weeks, so all of that is just winged characters that were going to be that they had no idea were going to be important. Digimon Hansu, his character, they had no idea was going to be important. His conversations and stuff were like, here's kind of the theme of the conversation, and they would improv it. And you got some of the most emotional conversations in filmmaking of the time. The whole "Are you not entertained?" thing, where he throws the sword up into the stands. He came up
Yeah.
with that 15 minutes before they said action. Like that movie came together literally by the skin of their teeth. So it's not like it's just suddenly something that he's been trying to do later years. He's done this his whole career. Things have come together. He shoots without locked scripts all the time. Uh, the dude is an amazing filmmaker. It's just he's not pulling together the stories like he used to
Right. Yeah.
for whatever reason. But all right, hit me with your bomb. Let's finish this on a strong one.
This is a 12-year-old game. And I remember I never really said this aloud. I said it aloud a little bit, but not a lot. I was just kind of, I never said I never said this game was bomb. I was just like, I don't know. I'm like, is there an audience for this anymore? I felt like most of the audience had not necessarily grown up, but gotten old and moved past video games because in 2013, GTA 5 was coming out. And I was like, 4 was it was well received, but like 3 was a phenomenon, right?
Right.
And everyone loved Vice City. And most generally, people really liked San Andreas because of how much content and stuff was in it. And then 4 came out, and 4 was scaled back. It was more dense, but in way more detailed because the first 3 games are PS2 games, and 4 was went back to Liberty City, but in a very hyper detailed. But like people were kind of iffy on it. The cars controlled like boats, like
yeah, and the multiplayer was fun though. I had a good time.
multiplayer was fun, but COD ate everyone's multiplayer lunch though.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm like, it'll probably sell decent. I'm like, it'll probably sell okay. It'll sell okay, but I don't know. The ship might have sailed for GTA 5 because that is now the best-selling video game of all time.
All time.
Has over 200 million sales.
Did you play that game on stream? Did you ever?
No, I've never played it.
You've never played it?
No,
I also have somehow
never played it. I claimed it when I had EGS because I needed Epic Game Store to get a Predator, whatever that Predator asymmetrical game was.
Right.
And they're like, oh, claim the game for free before the end of the month. And I'm like, sure, claimed. I'm not downloading it. So I never downloaded it, but like, yeah, I've never played the game. It's the best-selling video game ever made, and I'm just like, I've never played it.
I don't know why. I think it's because it came out in those years where I was just like, I was just too tired and where I didn't play anything basically. Yeah. But 2, just somehow I saw so many clips of it all the time that I never played the game, and I own it. I bought it.
And again, what really blew it up was the multiplayer, not necessarily
Right,
I mean, the single player is legendary, and it's got a great campaign. People love the campaign.
Great cast.
Great cast. A lot of memes came out of it, what have you. Did very well on just the single player alone, but it's the multiplayer that made it 200
explode.
Made it really explode. And I was wrong. Coming into it before, I was like, I don't know how much, because it wasn't even on. Remember, GTA 5 came out on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Not 4, not Xbox One, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And it was at the end of their lives. And I was like, how many people are still going to be into this at the end of a PS3's life? Everyone is going to be into everyone.
See, now we know what we got to make you do. You got to play GTA 5 on stream. You got to play the main story.
I've never been that into any of them. The only Rockstar game I ever loved was Red Dead Redemption 1.
That is a pretty that's a bombshell to end on.
I'll be wrong. Like, it wasn't. I never thought the game. I didn't think the game was going to bomb, but I was kind of like, I don't know how much of an audience is left. I think probably the people who love GTA 3 are probably like moved on. I have kids and and careers and shit, and they're probably not playing video games at all. And everyone's playing this game. Every 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old is playing it. Every 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old is playing it. Everyone's playing it.
I guess this is a great one to end on because it's a perfect example of like we're gonna get things wrong. It's a lot of fun to devote an entire episode to things we got wrong. Maybe part of my problem with the internet these days is that most content creation is moving so fast that no one ever takes the time to talk about things they got wrong. So I think I enjoyed this episode just because we're taking a time where we're in some doldrums of news and doing some evergreen episodes.
We were wrong.
We were wrong.
It happened.
If you remember things that we were specifically wrong about, this is great because it's going to be the most positive negative comments we've ever gotten on YouTube. If you remember things that we got wrong in the 480 episodes we have done, comment your favorite thing we are wrong about. We will all have a laugh.
Yes. Tell us, what was the favorite thing we got wrong?
On that note, we have producers to thank. Again, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Due to the week is Jasiri. Thank you, Jasiri. We really appreciate you. And also, in case you've never known, the Patreon is like a give whatever you can. You could give $1 and you get access to like 60 something side quests and various other random content we make it like Andrew watches anime if you want to dig those up and listen to me talk about anime I liked or did not like. But otherwise, we've got producers to thank. Dragon Wolf Makoto, Austenite, Zybernite, Scrunami, Kroy35, Hyperviper89, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.